It's the JT the Brick Show.
This is the silver and black. This is the Raiders. This is a historic franchise. This is no ordinary job.
Your silver and black home to sound off for over 25 years.
I don't care if I offend somebody. If it isn't right, I'm going to stop practice. We're going to do it the right way.
And now, here's JT the Brick.
Out of the gate, JT, welcome in on this humid Wednesday. You know, for years I've been telling people out in Vegas we have no bugs and we have no humidity and we have no traffic, right? No bugs. I've never seen a bug. I don't have any bugs in my backyard. I go to Florida. I go to Long Island. Bugs everywhere. They're called mosquitoes. Oh, my God. Can you imagine if we had mosquitoes in Vegas? I can tell you they're not on the mean streets of Summerlin where I live. I can tell you that. We have lizards. And we do have scorpions, so never leave your shoes out at night. Never leave your shoes out at night for those listening outside the market, but a little bit humid today. And see, I stopped talking about things other than sports. It's a clock that goes off in my head after 20 seconds, but hot and sticky. You know, it brings me back to when I started in Vegas in 1996 for Sports Fan Radio Network. And I remember parking my car to go in and do the shows, the Pete Rose show, at the MGM on my show, and it was just hot in July and August. Oh, my God. I said, I've never experienced anything like that. And for whatever reason, we haven't had that this year, and it's July. So it's July 22nd, and we haven't had that 115, that 113 crap yet, but it's coming. Hope you're doing well. We got a busy show today. I got two premier NFL insiders, the longest tenured insider in the Raiders, Bill Williamson. No one has been covering the Raiders longer than Bill Williamson. That's why he's on the show. Love having him on because he's a straight shooter. Raiders aren't playing well. He comes right at him. So I haven't talked to Bill. We give him a break in the summer. Haven't spoke to him in a couple of months. We'll hear what he has to say about Fernando Mendoza, the new offensive line, and some of the storylines that are coming in. Some of the storylines that are developing for training camp, and I think we know what they are. We know what they are. Is the offensive line going to be ready to play? Is Brock Bowers going to be completely healthy and explode? Are we going to turn Michael Mayer into a weapon? Or are we going to let Big Mike just block on special teams? Are we going to get something out of the defensive tackles in the interior? Is someone going to help Maxx? Someone going to help Maxx on the other side? Somebody? I mean, those are the things we're going to be talking about. But the world's going to be dominated by Fernando. It already is. I'm ready for it. We met him first. We know Fernando. We have a protection barrier around him because we're Raider Nation. And all the other teams that we despise because they despise us, they're all going to start chipping away at Fernando. And that's the focus of the monologue. Brought to you by Boyd Gaming. I had breakfast today with Boyd Gaming over at the Orleans with Radio Ray and our long-standing relationship with Boyd Gaming, 10 local properties here in the Valley. We talked about all the unique things they're doing, all the activations. They're the Raiders' official local casino partner, and they're back with us again. So it was great to have a nice meeting today, get some swag, and to sit down and talk to our friends at Boyd Gaming, proud partner of the show. So what I saw about Fernando heading into the draft was you had a couple of rogue insiders saying he was no good. He was overrated. Well, really, but anybody really said negative about Fernando was, yeah, he's not that great. He's okay, but if he was in another draft, if he was in the draft from 2 years ago with Drake May, Bo Nix, he wouldn't have went number one. That was really the only shot they could take at him. What were they going to say? He won the Heisman. He won the national championship. He had a signature play where he dove over the goal line. He graduated with the degree from Cal. He was unbelievable. He won every college football award that he could win. And he's a really nice guy. Really nice guy. Cares about his family. So those who were taking shots at him were lightly veiled shots. That he's not great outside the pocket, or he's not great if he goes through his progressions. All a bunch of crap. All a bunch of crap, because those people have to do something. Either they don't have a radio show or they do. They want to get their numbers up in engagement farm on social media. And what the hell do you think these NFL insiders are going to do? What are they going to just forget about Fernando and just pass on him and talk about who? So everybody was forced to talk about Fernando. And I thought about 80 to 85% of it was really good. There wasn't much to say negative about Fernando Mendoza. Now we elevate that conversation into training camp, where he's going to have bad practices. And it's going to be in front of me and the media, where he's going to throw an interception. He's going to bury a ball into the ground. He's going to hold on to the ball too long, and they're going to blow the whistle, and Maxx Crosby would have sacked him, but he's not allowed to sack him. And we're going to see that. And then that's going to get picked up by the national media. Well, Fernando threw a pick today. Fernando would have got sacked on this play. That's coming next. And then they're going to throw Fernando into the preseason games, which I'm excited for, as I get to call those games on radio. And maybe Fernando throws a pick, or he gets a sack, or he throws behind a receiver. And then the national media is going to take shots at him. That's what's next. There's not going to be a lot of good. What are they going to say? He had a good practice? No one reports on anybody having a good practice. When have you ever seen that on SportsCenter? When have you ever heard Aaron Rodgers had a good practice? No, Aaron Rodgers showed up. They took pictures of him, video of him stretching, and then they talked to him after practice. No one evaluated his practice. Maybe Shedeur. Let me take that back. Shedeur Sanders, when he went to Cleveland, initially as a third-string quarterback and wasn't getting reps. When he did, everybody was very, very on top of him. The scrutiny was there. But get ready. It's going to start next week. Fernando's in there now, right? The rookies are reporting. And he'll get a chance to go through what rookies go through at training camp before the veterans show up. And Max is showing up with the rookies, no surprise. And we're going to have good days. I'm going to interview a lot of people, either at the facility or here on the radio. I'm going to ask pretty much the same questions. What do you think of Fernando? When do you think he'll play? Yada, 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 yada. Until the games start. And then we have real, concrete evidence to talk about it. So as I was explaining today to my son, it's July 22nd. And then if you take a look at the Raiders from July 22nd to the start of the regular season, here are the topics that we want to talk about and the topics that we want to avoid. First off, we want to avoid injuries. We can't have any injuries. That would be non-contact injuries. That would be a football player running at full speed, cutting, and getting injured. That is the worst of the worst. It's called the non-contact injury. And normally they're season ending. If you get one of those, it's an Achilles, it's an MCL, goodbye. You're gone. But these guys got to practice. They got to go out and play. They were no good last year. Tom Brady said no one did anything good. From Tom Brady, nobody did anything good. So what do you think we're going to do? Bubble wrap these guys and break them out of the bubble wrap for Miami? No. They got to play. They're paid football players. They get paid every day. They get paid to play and train to play football. We're a 3-win team. We got to go practice. And that's why Kubiak is so good. Kubiak has a practice sheet. See the sheet right in front of him? It is detailed to the minute. I talk to people behind the scenes, off the record, who have been with this organization and said he's the best they've ever seen in pre-ready practice. I said elaborate. Someone who's been with the organization as long as me, over 25 years, said, quote, I've never seen a coach come out on the field ready to practice, and there was some good ones. I mean, Pete Carroll and John Gruden alone, and Josh McDaniels was a genius in regards to preparation. It didn't work, but the guy was prepped up for practice. So someone who I hold in high authority told me that Kubiak's practices are going to be so bleeping detailed that the players who have played for other coaches are going to have to get into this quickly. And that's why the mini camps, OTAs, were really important. Klint Kubiak dropped in his style of coaching, and it alerted not only the players, but the staff. And there's not a lot of staff that's been around long, right? Every time there's a coaching turnover, a lot of the coaches are gone. But I talked to someone on the staff who said, watch out. I mean, when practice starts, 30 seconds before these practices start, they will be lined up ready to go on the whistle. Okay, no beach balls, no basketballs, no high fives, no dancing. No one wants to see you dance anymore. We don't want to see you dance. None of the dancing. Line up and be ready. The drill starts when the league officially says we're allowed to start practice. We go. It's like a track meet, right? Get in the blocks. Get in the blocks. Kubiak's here, and we're going to start. And they're going to be so efficient that they're going to get in more plays. They're going to get in more drills. I heard this from the same person. They're going to have more time to go back and execute on the mistakes they made instead of a lot of coaches going, oh, my God, he jumped off sides. He made a mistake. Do it again. A lot of coaches can't do it again. They got to go to the next play. They got to run to the next drill. We don't have enough time. The league doesn't let you practice. What a scam. The league doesn't let you practice. The NFL, where Jim Brown, Frank Gifford, Deacon Jones, Chuck Bednarik, Ted Hendricks all played in, it was the Wild West. Two-a-days and pads. You think Jim Otto got better because he had two-a-days and pads? Or how do you think Jim Otto would have liked playing in this era where we're going to do walkthroughs with shorts on? Most of camp. We only have a few days of helmets, Jim Otto. We only have a few days, George Atkinson, with helmets where you and Jack can hit somebody. Give me a break. So this is going to be very efficient. And it has to be. Because we didn't have proper teaching last year. Ooh, what JT say? Let's clip that for our website. Let me say it again. We didn't have proper teaching last year. The coaches were not instructed to teach last year. They were instructed to coach. They didn't teach. They had too many young players who were not taught how to play football at the NFL level. They didn't get enough reps because they had this system of competing where a lot of them were not aware of where they stood in the depth chart of competition because the coaches didn't communicate, the ones who were fired, and their subordinate coaches didn't do enough time teaching. They did a lot of coaching and being very vague about what your role was going to be. The biggest turnaround this year, in my opinion, this is just me, is that everybody's going to be on the same page with their role. You're either starting or you're not. We're not playing head games with you that you might start if you prove to be better at times or do this. A lot of players walked around last year like, wait a second, I thought I had a good practice, but no one told me I had a good practice. And Pete Carroll did. Pete Carroll was great at that. Pete Carroll sat down with me every week, and he was like, he went up and down the line. Man, Pete Carroll ran. He's 73 years old. He went up and down the line and told everybody, good job, man. Keep it going. Keep competing. The problem was other coaches didn't do that. From Chip to Pete's son to a lot of other coaches who are gone because they didn't teach properly and they didn't let the players who deserve to have more practice and be taught, they didn't give them the attention to detail that John Spytek now and Klint Kubiak are going to give. That's what I know. So this thing's going to be really buttoned up. But, man, I think it's buttoned up every year, don't I? Don't I say this every year? I mean, let me take a shot at me so the trolls don't have to. Every year I think the coaches who get hired are pretty good, right? They're pretty good. And they all have their style. And they all, like, are rah-rah guys. You got to be a rah-rah guy at some point. And then they have coaches underneath them who like to get everybody worked up and fired up. The problem is we lost a year of teaching. That will never happen again in Raiders history, where players won't be taught how to be better football players. They were coached last year. They were coached. They weren't taught. Now they're teaching them. They're teaching them. And that's really good. And I think there's a lot of young players here that played in college and were good players, but they never played it down in the NFL. They need to be taught on what they have to do. So that's one of the topics that I wanted to hit on today. Do you like that one? Yeah, I think it's pretty good information here from what I heard, what I know, and what's going to happen starting coming up here. There'll be a couple of days where you'll be able to go to camp. If you're able enough and fortunate enough to go to camp, maybe you'll see some of this and remember what I told you. Topic number 2. I'm kind of getting pissed off at LeBron James. I got a summer too. My summer means something. All right? And I'd like to know when he's going to pick a team. Because I got 2 radio shows to do, and I'd like to have an easy radio show with LeBron. Right? If LeBron signs today during the show, I got a working vacation day, Connor. I'm actually working for a living, doing quite well, and I don't have to work. It's like going to your job and your boss says, hey, you don't got to do anything today. Just play on the internet. If LeBron signs here in the next 10 minutes, I'm done. All I got to do is LeBron. LeBron's a Warrior. LeBron's a Cav. And that'll get me to Friday, right? And I kind of like that in the summertime. I can't do that during football season because they have games on Sunday, Monday, this year Wednesday, Thursday. So we got football every day, but I kind of need some LeBron news. And he hasn't made the news yet. As I've been saying for fun, just for fun, I love Warrior fans. I'm a Knick fan. Warriors have had a great run, a really nice run with Steph. But I love watching these buddies of mine who call the show or they're in the chat and they're Warrior fans. And, man, they are sweating this one out, baby. Woo! Are they sweating this one out? Because their buddy, JT the Brick, even though I might not always be right, I tell the truth. And the truth is, Warriors are going nowhere without LeBron. Nowhere. As in nowhere. So you got no choice now. You got to get LeBron, or you're basically a summer league team. You're basically going to throw out a good couple rookies. Steph's going to play a little bit, but they're going to load manage him. Draymond's getting older. He'll play hard, but he's not very good anymore. And then the Warriors maybe are a 7 seed, and they get smoked by the new look Lakers. The Warriors get obliterated by OKC and Victor Wembanyama. They just get smoked. So Warrior fans are in the Bay Area. I got buddies on the radio station up in there, and they're nervous because these guys got radio shows. And some of them didn't get what I got when I was up there, right? They're working for less. And they want to do what I want to do. They want to have it a little bit easier, so they want LeBron. Because if you get LeBron James and you got a radio show in the Bay Area, you're done. You're good for the year. Just get on Instagram and Twitter and Facebook every day. Simulcast your show on your YouTube page and just talk LeBron every day, and everybody will tune in. Everybody in the Bay Area will tune in from Marin to Burlingame all the way down to San Jose. It's LeBron. It's like getting Michael Jordan in your town the last year. You'd take that. So speaking of that, join us on YouTube. The second I said it, the Wi-Fi went out, but now we're back. Join us on YouTube at JT the Brick. We had Linda Cohn on yesterday, and Linda texted me today because we had her on here, and then I played her again at night, and she got a bunch of new subscribers, and she really appreciated that. I don't know why we don't have Wi-Fi today, and I'm doing a radio show, because I could have took the day off and went to San Diego. But I don't know why we can't get Wi-Fi to work. I don't know why, but it's not worthy of me talking about. So we'll get the Wi-Fi back up. Listen on the radio or listen on the Raiders mobile app, and I'm sure the Wi-Fi will kick in when the crow on the ceiling walks away to the other side of the ceiling, and we can do that again. So LeBron, I hope it happens today. I don't know if it will be today. I'm kind of surprised it isn't today by now. I thought it was definitely going to be today. I think the Warriors, the good news for the Warriors, if you're a Warrior fan, I think you should be excited. The more I think about it, the more the Warriors make sense. The Warriors make a lot more sense to me overall because I think it's easier on his daughter. I do. I think his daughter, who is a beautiful young girl because his sons are grown, I think LeBron gets to see his daughter more often. I think that's probably important to him and his wife. And he gets to play with Steph and Draymond, and he likes those guys a lot. But I'm like you. I'm sitting back like you, and I'm kind of surprised. I'm surprised it took this long. And then finally, the biggest topic of the week is the firing of Ryan Clark, the firing of ESPN talent, or ESPN talent that was not repositioned with ESPN, like Tom Pelissero, Charles Davis. Cam Newton was let go, Bart Scott, Carl Ravitch, A lot of people were let go by ESPN. I feel like I've done more radio shows on that than anybody because I've been doing 2 a day like Q. But I don't work for ESPN, so I've been sitting here just a little bit different on this topic than I would if I was working for ESPN. It would be like I work for SiriusXM Mad Dog. If Stephen A. or Mad Dog, something happened to them, I wouldn't go on my channel and like open up the phones to the world because, you're not going to do that. But I get a chance to talk about this. I'm doing a podcast on it, and this week was a really bad week. It was a really bad week for people behaving badly on the internet. Someone have that yet for a title for a book? That'd be a good book title. People behaving badly on the internet. This was a really bad week on the internet because a lot of people celebrated people getting fired. Ooh, that's really low. I mean, you want to make fun of someone's appearance. It's not good. You want to make fun of someone who did something, made a mistake. Okay. Making fun of people that got whacked from their job in the middle of their job. Woo. That's some karma stuff, man. That's some karma stuff you got to be careful with. No real big firings today other than back office people. But that was a topic that, people are still humming about because we're hearing terms that are very uncomfortable for me. Race baiting. This guy talks too much about this. All of this stuff that I'm not really comfortable about because I talk sports. But it was ugly. It's been an ugly week. And it's really the scandal of the summer. We had the great World Cup. We have LeBron James waiting for a decision. But we did have the scandal at ESPN, which is a scandal because of the way they treated some of their employees poorly. You cannot debate that Ryan Clark finding out in the middle of a segment of his show and Carl Ravitch being on the road, going on 35 years and finding out via social media wasn't savage. Oh, and if it could happen to those guys, it could happen to me. It could happen to anybody. Anybody, because if ESPN can do it and wake up in the morning and feel okay about themselves, anybody else can do that. And for those who are saying, should McAfee take a pay cut? No. Should Stephen A. take a pay cut? No. Those guys are bringing in enormous revenue and value, and they are in their window. Remember, 30 years ago, Chris Berman was in his window. Right? You have other people, Dan Patrick and Keith Olbermann. Look at the fall of Keith Olbermann. Keith Olbermann in his prime at SportsCenter? Who was better than Keith Olbermann reading sports? Now they put on actresses at night. They think they're Meryl Streep. They're actresses. They do the sports at 11 at night, and they're all glammed out, and they're setting up sets with couches and fake wine. Wow. A lot's changed, man. A lot's changed. Oh, and the baseball trade deadline. Are the Dodgers going to buy anybody else? Connor, maybe we should call Harry Ruiz and Paul Gutierrez and ask if they want to buy anybody else. Do you Dodger fans need to buy anybody else? Do you need a number 8 hitter that you can pay $180 million for? Do you need a backup catcher that you can pay $30 million a year for just in case? No one's beating the Dodgers. No one. Unless the Phillies or the Brewers, but we've been there before. Unless my Yankees get Judge and Stanton back because they got elite pitching, but the Yankees can't seem to beat anybody. So that's where we are. That's the monologue brought to you by Modelo, the fighting spirit of Modelo. I have a bucket of Modelos this weekend. This is going to be a really good weekend. My wife and I are doing a staycation. Connor, do you know what a staycation means? What is your definition of a staycation?
Yeah, usually you get to do something within the city. Maybe it's outside the house, but you're not going on a vacation per se. You're not packing up the bags going far. So, still something nice to do, but within the realms of the home, I would say.
My big 6-foot boys, burly boys are home at the house, but we are going to do a staycation at 2 different resort properties. 2. We're actually going to go spend one night at one place and another night at the other place. Because the rates are so cheap. If you're a local, it's a big secret in town. I was never good at this. I've been out here how many years? Well, you call these casinos and you get a player's card. You ask for a player's card, then you go online, and then all of a sudden these rooms that are like untouchable like $120. So I'm like, oh, let's do that. Let's go do that. No parking fees, no resort fees too? Raise your hand and beep your horn if you remember when there were no resort fees and you didn't have to pay to park in Vegas. Do you remember the times in Vegas where you used to be able to pull up to a casino and give your keys to a valet for free and then come out after a show and dinner and give the guy a $20 and the car was there in 3 minutes? Now I pull up and it says $60 valet? Wait a second. These valet guys and gals, they're the heart and soul of Vegas. You don't need a college education. You can have a college education and be a valet attendant and make 6 figures back in the day. You could make 6 figures as a bellman and a valet. We took that away from those young boys and girls. Man, crazy what's going on here. But I love Vegas, man. I love Vegas. All right, so let's start this off. We got Stevie G to start us off on the flagship. Stevie G, what do you got?
What is up, JT? How you doing, man?
I'm doing great, thank you.
Good. Hey, man, with the Raiders coming up with the training camp coming up and everything, I'm looking forward to the aligned, organization. I mean, I think Spytek's got it going. He's got Kubiak. It looks like they're partnered up. I think what you said about teaching and coaching, very important. So these young guys are going to get a chance to play. And I'm looking for, Fernando to just compete, try his best. And my hope is that he is going to get on the field. I'm thinking game 5-ish, but that's me. But I'm just saying that I just want him to feel that he's competing to win that starting job so that he's going to be ever ready. He's going to be ready to step in the moment the coaches feel that he's ready. If that's game 1, hey, it's game 1. But I do expect something to happen relatively soon with him because he's moving forward. And as much as I like Kirk Cousins and his alignment with the Kubiak and his history with him, he's maintaining or going down just because that's life. That's what happens. You grow up and then you hit your zenith and then you start to go down. So that's just reality. But the fact that I think Fernando is in a nice organization in terms of his growth process, what they're feeding him and his hunger to want to learn and want to grow, I think that's just what the Raiders need right now. And I can't believe the free agent signings that they had, mostly because these dudes aren't just like, free agents. These guys are young free agents. They're going to be with the team. They're going to grow with the team, understand the organization and the culture, and just have our organization. The Raiders are going to move forward. That's what we're going to see. Yep. And I'm just looking forward to it. Thanks a lot, JT.
Thank you. Yeah, that's what I think. As I've always been saying, and I said around the building, if we didn't have 7 new starters, I'd be really concerned. I'd be really concerned if we didn't have 7 new starters. We'd be the same team as last year, just a little bit better. Now the Raider Nation, we could be a lot better. Here's one of the greatest Raiders of all time on hold because he's a Raider. Violator without a doubt. He's in the NFL Hall of Fans. He is a pride and true member of the Black Hole, and he will be at the Black Hole opening weekend party. Violator, how are you, my friend?
What's up, JT? Doing great. Just trying to hold the excitement for this upcoming season opener.
It's amazing season opener. It better be a W against the Dolphins, number one. And then when you got Too Short and Warren G, and you got a big show and you're taking over the Palms, that sounds like a pretty good weekend, huh?
What we call it in the Black Hole is just taking it to the next level. We've been fighting forces from within, but we're trying to hold Rob Rivera's dream, bringing it into fruition in Las Vegas.
Yes. And you're a big part of that because you travel to every game. You're a part of all the promotions. You're everywhere. And, again, what year is this coming up for you as Violator? What year?
This year marks 35 years, brother, putting on the war tape.
Wow. Well, I'll tell you one thing. They better have a promotion like they did for Rilla. I better see some 35 bobbleheads. I better see some 35 bands on those cigars. Is that happening?
Well, I won't speak anything on that, brother. Those that know me know the work that I put in.
Yes.
And just that acknowledgement is enough for me, because the journey continues. As long as I'm able to do it, we have to embed that seed into the younger culture of what the Raider way is.
Yes. And what is the Raider way for you? If we have a listener who's listening right now to us and they're not a member of the Black Hole, or they haven't embraced what you have embraced, what's the easiest way you could say, join our crew at the Black Hole, we will welcome you?
And that's what it's about right there. Welcoming anybody who has allegiance to that shield. And then you respect all of those who come, regardless of where they come, their status in life. It doesn't matter. We're like a melting pot of society right there. And that shield is the magnet that draws us together for fellowship and good times.
All right, my friend. I'm definitely going to see you out at some training camp practices and some other events, and we'll do more and more to promote the home opener at the Palms.
Absolutely, brother. Look forward to seeing you.
Thank you. Violator. Wow. Don't get much bigger than that. You talk about phone calls and people you want to hear from. Violator, 35 years. He's welcoming you into the club. All you got to do is go to theblackhole.com. Go to theblackhole.com, become a member. Like Violator. That's how simple it is. You can't get any simpler than that. Bill Williamson will join us next. I'm wondering what Bill wants to talk about, because he's sharp, and he's going to get right to the point. I'm going to ask him about this offensive line, Fernando, possibly the lack of depth in the wide receiver room. It's going to get real coming up next.
Welcome back to the JT the Brick Show. Brought to you by The Black Hole. Become a member of football's most notorious fans.
As most of you guys know, training camp starts July 28th. For me, coming off an injury, so I have to go July 23rd. So it's my first time going early. Wow. But ultimately, I am extremely excited. I'm more excited than anything. We're back. Football is back. It's go time, dude, and I cannot wait, bro. I get butterflies thinking about it, but it's been the best off season for sure. I've grown so much in so many ways. I chase perfection every day, even though it's never going to be perfect in every single aspect of my life. And everyone knows how much I love football and how much I put into this, man. It's been a hell of a journey, but I'm so excited and so happy to be back.
Wow, that's Max from his Rush podcast. He's reporting with the rookies. Coming off an injury, he looks good to go. I'm sure they're going to handle him differently. Some other players you just handle differently. This is a new regime, new coaching staff. I don't know how they're going to handle Max. Hopefully, I think they'll handle him properly. Bill Williamson joins us, SB Nation, our longest tenured Raider insider. Bill, I hope the summer's been good. I'll jump right in with some storylines. We'll just bat it back and forth. I want to start with your feeling on Mendoza. Has it evolved over the last 60, 90 days, on when he's going to play, or what you're hearing within the Raider walls on developing him at the proper pace?
Yeah, he's been a Raider for 3 months. They drafted him on Thursday night, April 23rd. And I don't know, it seems like in the short term, the expectations have been kind of tempered a little bit. And that's just the short term, because most of the stories you hear is that they want him to be the backup perhaps as long as the entire season. And, the latest story that came out was Ian Rappaport of NFL Media saying, the hope is that Kirk Cousins, the veteran addition who had 3 good seasons playing under Klint Kubiak in Minnesota, ideal situation that he stays healthy, he plays well, and he's the guy for the whole year. But Rappaport also left some outs there and mentioned, hey, the kid could, go in and steal the job during the summer. But right now, the idea is for Cousins to play. My whole takeaway is just let's wait and see. Let's let this play out. This is a team that is coming up 3 wins. It's a building team. The kid is the future. Cousins is not the future. So let's just see what happens. And I think everything's on the table, including Fernando being the week 1 starter against Miami.
Yeah, you're not the first guy to say this. Vinny, I've been talking to Vinny about it and others, and I'm going to push back and disagree because if Cousins isn't the week 1 starter, a lot of money went into him. And I know the Raiders got a lot of money now with new ownership, and they always have had money since they've come to Vegas. But, wow, if Cousins, with all that work to get Cousins to come here, with half of it being paid from Atlanta and the new money coming, and his knowledge of the Kubiak playbook, which is much more deeper than Mendoza, I can't find any way, if he doesn't get dinged and injured, that he doesn't beat out everybody in the preseason.
Yeah, maybe. I just think everything is on the table a little bit more than. I just think it's a little more open ended than some people think. But I mean, if the Raiders and this, we can talk 10 different topics about this subject. But say the Raiders go, 6-11, 7-10, and Cousins is serviceable, but nothing special because he's quarterback in a 6-win team. And Mendoza doesn't play at all. Doesn't that kind of take away some time from the kid? And you lose a year on the contract. And I know. Look at Aaron Rodgers didn't play for 3 years. Phil Rivers didn't play for 2 years. But that was 20 years ago. And if you look at most of the guys' first round picks, particularly number 1 picks, they get on the field quick. So I mean, the whole idea is to develop them. But the idea is also to play him. So I just don't know. It could be looked at a wasted year if they don't, make a big strides and he doesn't play at all. And you wonder, is he not what they thought he was? But again, we're going to have a lot of Fernando Mendoza conversations in the next 6 months, and they could go several different ways. And I don't think there's nothing to be worried about, sitting here on July 22nd. It's just part of the process.
Bill Williamson's our guest. Let's go to the offensive line. What are you seeing, assuming that it's Linderbaum, obviously? What a great pickup. They paid a lot for him, and Colt Miller, we're assuming, is going to be healthy. And then we're right back to we don't know anything that's going on with JPJ. He's always competing. He doesn't have anything locked down. So you're looking at the left and right guard and DJ Glaze at right tackle. That's not an elite offensive line, but it's improved. How do you see that?
Well, I mean, look, they were basically the best center. Certainly the best offensive lineman in free agency fell into their lap, and you take it. So they're obviously going to be improved, but they're not very deep. He has to stay healthy. Miller has to stay healthy, and the young guys have to really develop pretty quickly. And hey, they've spent a lot on draft capital on the offensive line in the recent years. Some of those guys, already Dylan Parham didn't work out. Now it's JPJ. We got to see. This is his 3rd year. There's been a lot of excitement about him. He's had some ups, he's had some downs. He has to stay healthy, and he has to move forward. And yeah, the offensive line is a major factor in his offense. You got an improved play caller. You got a young quarterback. You got pieces, and Bowers is just special. And Genti has a lot of potential, but the offensive line has to gel, and so that's a real key. But it's a nice jumpstart to get that center. I tell you that.
Bill Williamson joins us. All right, Bill, you're the straight shooter. Take me into that wide receiver room. The real addition was Jalen Naylor. I got nothing on Dante Thornton Jr. I'm a Jack Besh guy. I'm like one of the only guys that reminds the world that his brother was killed the year he was drafted, and mentally, I don't know how anyone could deal with that. My kids are his age. I don't know how my kids would have been able to deal with that. And the scrutiny's starting to come with him. And he doesn't need to be put in a bubble wrap and be protected. He's a grown-ass man, but he needs to touch the football. We need to find out in the Raider Nation, the fans, that if he can line up, and I'm hoping Kubiak moves him around in motion, slot, wide, whatever it is, and it kind of takes the heat off of him, and he can have not an explosive year, but get 40, 50 catches under his belt. What's the upside for Jack Besh?
Yeah, I think you just want to see improvement and see consistency and see him get on the field. I think, we always hear often about the disconnect last year between the coaching staff and the front office, and maybe that was an example of it. So we want to see some cohesion. We want to see him fit in Kubiak's offense and just get better. He was a second-round pick.
Yeah.
We're not expecting him to catch 70 balls as a rookie. Like you said, he has a lot of heavy stuff that not many people can relate to. And so I don't think it's time to say that pick was a bust. But, yeah, improvement needs to be made. Consistency needs to be shown there for sure.
Bill, finally, I want to get to the secondary of the Raiders. I think this is a really important topic that we'll be coming back to you with all year. I think it's critical that, McCoy ends up playing. If he's healthy and good to go, and I know they're going to park him and not work him every day. They can't. But he's a potential Pro Bowl in his second or third year corner. He's that good. He dropped like a rock because of an injury. And then the other players that jump out at me, when I look at the safety position, the competition that we could see for Jeremy Chin and Isaiah Palomal, I think Jeremy Chin is there. But for Isaiah Palomal, can you see a scenario where he is not the week one starter because he gets outplayed in the preseason here, and maybe one of the newer guys like Trayden Stukes comes in and he's just so good in camp, and in the preseason he could be the starter?
Well, I mean, I say this in general, in all 32 camps, not picking on Palomal at all, but, that's the hope. You got fringe starters, and in the offseason you try to get better at those positions. And again, I hope that doesn't come out harshly. I can say that about, some other players on the roster. I can say it about many around the league. But this is just one of those situations. They picked the guy in the second round. They felt they needed an upgrade there. So that's the hope for sure.
Bill, last question. At Raiders training camp, the biggest change we should expect to see under Klint Kubiak is blank. What is the biggest change that should happen at the end of July through August in a Klint Kubiak camp?
I would say just a little bit more urgency in practice and a little bit more, I hate to say professionalism because, the guy he's replacing did win a Super Bowl and borderline Hall of Famer, but it was an ugly year. It was a bad year. It was a bad year from the start. So it is what it was. And let's just see some more stability from the coaching staff.
Thank you, Bill. Enjoy the rest of the summer. Looking forward to having you on all season. Appreciate you.
All right. Take care. Thanks for having me.
You got it. Bill Williamson, and does a nice job. SB Nation. And he said what I said in the monologue. The practice is going to be a little bit more urgent. And it's going to work out better. We hope. That's what we hope to do. Vinny Bonsignore at 1:30. I have open lines the rest of the way. I should never have an open line. I should come out of an interview, have 9 people on hold. But we're living in a new era. You got to remind people we're live. We're not a podcast. We take calls. 80% of sports radio doesn't take calls. There's 9 people talking at once. So when you come back, get ready. We just had a nice 50 minutes of content on the Raiders, on everything from training camp to Fernando to the depth chart and Bill Williamson. If you want to get in before Vinny, 702-365-9200. No news on LeBron. Tomorrow I'm having coffee with Alex DeCastroverde. Good guy. Great law group. Partner of the show. Yes, I'm going to hydrate, Kenny. I'm going to go hydrate now. My voice sounds like it's a Friday, and it's only Wednesday.
Welcome back to the JT the Brick Show, brought to you by Modelo Especial, the new #1 beer in the U.S.
You know why? They've stabilized the quarterback position. And they have a head coach who knows how to handle quarterbacks in Klint Kubiak, who they hired away as the former offensive coordinator of the Seahawks. You now have Kirk Cousins. I think he'll start the season as the Raiders quarterback. They're going to bring along their number 1 overall pick, Fernando Mendoza, slowly. And it's a good combination. They know they have their present and future accounted for.
Adam Schefter, he agrees with me. I don't know anything, but I think Cousins starts. JT, back with you as we continue on. We're brought to you by the M Resort Spa and Casino. 2 towers are better than 1. Emerald has opened up a new restaurant named after his daughter inside the M. Can't wait to go check it out. Happy birthday to my buddy Roxy, who I went to college with. Another birthday. He's a big Raider fan in Buffalo. He's a real Raider fan in Buffalo. I mean, Daryl LaMonica type stuff. I'm talking hardcore Raider fan. Like a guy I went to college with, a little bit older than me, but die-hard Raiders. And he's one of the many fans that I know that live in Buffalo who want my tickets. So my phone's blowing up, and everybody wants my tickets. And I say, my tickets are for Raider fans. I can get you some 400s. I can get you some 300 corners. But, I mean, if you're going to sit in my seats, I need Raider Nation in my seats. I got Fabian next to me. I got people next to me, man. I mean, from time to time, a family member, if they're not diehard Raiders, yeah, okay. But come on. I'm telling you right now, the Buffalo game, and that's the weekend of the Biletnikoff Gala. I'm telling you, this Buffalo game, watch out. All of Western New York is coming. I mean, all of it. Anybody who can get their hands on a ticket. You want to know why? This year, those Buffalo tickets, they open up their new stadium. It's kind of like us, right? Our tickets are so expensive because we got a brand new stadium. Same in Buffalo now. Same in Buffalo. So those Bills fans, they want in. I mean, they'll spend $400 to $1,000 for a ticket because guess what the tickets in Buffalo are going to cost? $300 to $700. So they'll pay more and come out here. So Raider Nation, watch yourself when you go on those message boards and someone wants to buy your ticket. Probably going to be a Bills fan who's going to have a fake name like Raider Roxy or Raider Fish or Raider Frank. They're going to be there and they're going to want your tickets because they're Bills fans. Be careful. Be careful. They're coming. And if you sell your tickets to a Kansas City fan, get the hell out of Nevada. Just go. Just get out of here. You sell your tickets knowingly to a Chiefs fan, that's despicable. Don't ever claim you're a Raider fan. I don't sit here and judge fans, but I can do whatever I want. If you sell your tickets to a Kansas City Chief or a Bronco fan, you are not a Raider fan. You're a poser. Or maybe you were a Raider fan, but you lost your edge. If you want to get rid of your tickets, give them the Raider Dad. He has a nonprofit. He'll take kids and put them in Raider gear, and they'll go sit in your seats, and you'll get a write-off, and you'll feel good. But don't give them to those. The Charger fans don't have any fans. But those Donkey fans, they want our tickets. They're playing pretty good as of late. Hour number 1 done. Wednesday's kind of my Friday. No late-night show tonight. So let's get after it. Hour number 2, Vinny Bonsignore will join us at the bottom of the hour on the flagship of the Silver and Black.
It's the JT the Brick Show.
You just get up every day and you take one step at a time and you keep going and you show up. We have a big mountain to climb, but we're not trying to do it all in one day.
Your Silver and Black home to sound off for over 25 years.
It's really important to me that we're a gritty team, that the way that they were back in the old days. It's nothing that we say, it's what we do on the field. All the little things that win that have nothing to do with scheme.
And now, here's JT the Brick.
Hour number 2, JT, back with you. Vinny Bonsignore at the bottom of the hour. Vinny and I are going to go around the league. It'll be a little bit of Raiders, but Vinny's now covering not only the Raiders, but the 49ers, the Rams, the Chargers. He's with the California Post, so he's got a couple other teams, which makes it good because, sometimes I want to talk about what Aaron Donald's going to do with the Rams or what the Niners are going to do with Brock Purdy. We get everybody in here. We're talking football and we're talking sports. I'm not upset about the fact. I'm not upset that LeBron has not announced it, but LeBron was supposed to announce it yesterday or today. That's why I'd like you to sign up to my YouTube channel at JT the Brick. As soon as he signs, agrees to terms, I'm going to go live on YouTube, I'm going to go live on Instagram and have some quick opinions on that. I think the Warriors are gaining traction, if they've already had a lot of traction. But if I had a guess, if you put a gun to my head, I'd say Cleveland 1, Warriors 1A. So if the Warriors get them, I'm not going to be shocked. But I'm blown away that no one knows. Aren't you? Like, every time we talk about a big-time quarterback or a free agent, everybody seems to be putting their name on the line, right? They're putting their neck out there saying, I think it's going to be this, and no one's doing that with LeBron. Connor, why do you think that's the case, that no one's got the balls to say, I'm predicting blank? Everybody's waiting. Why is this such a secret, and these so-called NBA insiders who get paid millions have no new information for us?
Yeah, no, I'm right there with you, JT. I'm shocked. You would think guys like the Brian Windhorses of the world or the Shams Charania, they'd had some type of nugget. But even yesterday on the Pat McAfee show, we played the clip earlier. Rich Paul came on and he played coy about it. It just seems that at the end of the day, they're going to let LeBron make this decision based on what he wants to do for his life. And I think that's kind of the one thing that it's a little bit different now in this situation. A lot of times LeBron always did what was best for a team, what was best for him, and trying to win. But this might truly be what is best for him and going forward for his future in the next 2 to 3 years.
Yeah, I'm just surprised. I'm very surprised we don't know more. I am. And I've given you my strong opinion on this from day one. Strong opinion. Cleveland, Cleveland, Cleveland. Now I've evolved to the Warriors. The longer it goes, the stronger the Warriors because of Steph and Draymond's relationship with LeBron. So the more they have to talk to LeBron and talk him out of going to Philly or Cleveland, I think that bodes well for the Warriors. If you want to get in on that, 702-365-9200. Tin's been waiting a while. Want to get him up here. Thanks for waiting and being patient. Go ahead.
Yeah, thanks for calling, JT. And with Ashton Genty, I have followed him, and his training regimen consists of basketball. But I think he should let go of that because he's flicking the ball. That's a sport. Got to get dribble off. Got to get the shot off the hand. I don't want him to be Mr. Slippery Hands once he gets on that field.
Wait a second. Whoa. You're saying that you're watching Ashton Genty play basketball. I saw a viral video of him dunking the ball. He was dunking the ball, which... Maxx Crosby plays basketball every day. So you're concerned about Ashton Genty fumbling the ball because he's playing basketball?
Sure, because Ashton Genty is the ball handler. And Maxx Crosby, he'll like seeing the ball get knocked loose. He'll have to jump on that recovery. And for LeBron James, wherever he goes, I think that he can't go to anywhere unless Las Vegas has a real NBA team.
Well, we don't have a team yet, so appreciate your call. LeBron's going to be part owner of the team we get. LeBron, whoever wins the winning bid for the Las Vegas basketball team, rest assured, Magic Johnson or LeBron will be a minority owner. Tom Brady is a minority owner of the Las Vegas Raiders. From everything I've heard, LeBron James will be a minority owner of the Las Vegas basketball team. I don't know who's going to own it, but I've been doing some due diligence on that. And the only reason I'm doing the due diligence on that is I want to be careful because I have a level of trust with my audience, and I don't throw stuff up against the wall. If I'm wrong, you know where to find me. I value not being wrong often. I do. I care about being right more than wrong. That's why I don't predict games. Predicting games, you're going to be wrong a lot. But when it comes to who's going to own this basketball team, I do not have the answer. So I want to make sure I get more information before I give it to you. Because the people who are lining up in these ownership groups are megalodon sharks. They're monsters. Monsters. Okay? We're talking about the Walton family, the Davis family, the Foley family, Bob Iger, Jerry Colangelo, Magic Johnson and his net worth, of people. If you're going to side with if you're going to guess who's going to be the new ownership group in Las Vegas for the basketball team, you're just guessing. And I don't do a guessing radio show. We don't do giveaways and guessing. We don't do that. We'd like to deal with facts or strong opinions, and this decision is long out there for sure. All right, Thor, Raider Nation Drinking Club. What's going on, Thor? What's on tap for a Wednesday night of this weekend? What are you throwing back?
JT, man, I'm chilling, man. I'm ready to have this weekend a good stick, and there's not too much going on right now, but we're 3 weeks away from preseason football for us, baby. I can't wait. I can't wait to get back out there. JT, I'm sorry, I was running around all day. I got in the car, and I heard, as soon as I turned it on, I heard you saying, if you sell your JT, no shame in saying you let them know. If they sell their tickets to people that aren't Raider fans, they ain't real Raider Nation. But that's period, point blank. I'll say it for you, JT. I'll say it loud and proud. Stop selling your tickets to other fan bases and then going and crying about how the stadium is taken over. I'm sick of it, JT. Real Raider Nation, get out there. Get out there to games. Get out there. Get loud. Get proud. All that. I'm excited, JT. The season is around the corner. Let's go, baby. Just win, baby. Let's go, JT. Yay!
Yeah, thank you, Thor. Appreciate it. Thor's usually on a cruise. Now he's not on a cruise. Hope to see him soon. We just got a lot of events coming up here with the Black Hole and some good events. Remember, a week from Friday, so that not this Friday, a week from Friday, we're at Grimaldi's over on Eastern. I'm throwing a training camp pizza party. So we're going to have pizza at Grimaldi's, the best pizza I've ever had. So come on out for that. That's a week from Friday. We should have some special guests there. Could be a lot of fun, and I can't wait for that. So try to come out if you can. Grimaldi's over on Eastern. I don't climb Eastern much. I don't. I climb Eastern for my buddies over at Wahoo's, and I climb Eastern to golf, or I climb up Eastern to go to Grimaldi's. That's about the only time you'll see me out there. Big Al from San Francisco, still waiting on LeBron. You're in San Francisco. What's the vibe on the news? No one gets a newspaper anymore, but is it buzzing up there, Al?
I'll tell you what I'm waiting for. That pizza sounds really good, and I'm really hungry. I wish you gave me a little notice. I would have booked a flight and come in.
You're always welcome.
So, is there any buzz? I was at the arena Monday night, and everybody's talking about it, but everybody's talking in circles, and there's really nothing to talk about at this point. At this point, it's just like, when he makes his decision, he makes his decision. And, of course, there was all that nonsense about what the Miami did yesterday. And that's the second time Miami did that. Riley said, I have another airplane to land, and now they're coming out with fake fake announcements of press conferences. Right now, it's just whenever he decides that, okay, I think I'll just resolve this today, is when he's going to resolve it. I mean, that's really where it's at. There's just no news. There's nothing to talk about, and it's all really speculation.
Yeah.
But I was looking at the Raiders today, JT. That's why I was calling in. I was looking at the Raider offense, and I was looking at the offensive line has just it's been subpar for quite some time. But I'm looking at this, and we all know that Linderbaum is the best center in the league, and there's other really good talent there. Miller's going to be back this year, and he missed almost the entire year last year. And I'm looking at the offense, and if this offensive line can hold up, and you combine that with Bowers, who's we all know what he is, Genti, who we all think is going to be great, and Jack Beck is a second-round pick. Naylor has to kind of show his worth. They might have a hole there, at wideout. But if that offensive line holds up, this is a pretty formidable offense. Certainly much better than we've seen in the last 3 or 4 years out of the Raiders. But it's all about the offensive line, and all these guys are pretty good draft picks. DJ Glaze is the lowest draft pick, but all these guys have played, and Burford has been in a winning environment. We all know Lindenbaum's been in a winning environment. Jackson Powers Johnson he's a big, strong guy. Round 2 pick out of a fantastic football school. I'm excited to see what the Raiders roll out. I mean, we'll all know in a couple of weeks. They do need some more depth, but doesn't everybody in the NFL need depth?
Big
like
Al,
that.
you believe that the Raiders could start 5 up front on the offensive line that will give this a completely different look to this franchise. The offensive line has been a bleeping disaster since they've come to Vegas. Other than a couple of years, some decent play. Overall, it's been a real big black hole in a bad way where the team can't win because of the offensive line. You're starting to believe.
I'm looking at this line, and then I compare it to all the years that I was around the team in Oakland, and this is the best line that we've seen in 3-4 years, maybe even the entire time in Vegas. I think you're probably right there.
Okay.
If they have some good pedigree on this line, okay, they got guys who were drafted high, and they've got guys who are winners. Most notably, the kid from San Francisco and Linderbaum.
Right.
This is look. Your offense is only as good as your offensive line. If they can open up holes for Genty, if they can give Cousins/Mendoza the time, and to be able to hit, the weapons that they have, maybe add another weapon here and there. Yeah, I think they can compete. I don't see any reason offensively why they can't. They haven't competed offensively since 2023.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty excited for the Raiders. I'm looking forward to seeing the first preseason game.
Thank you. Appreciate the call, Big Al. Good to hear from you. I want to see the Raiders be able to run the ball with violence. I want to see the Raiders run the ball downhill. I want to see the Raiders block people in front of them and manhandle them. They got some size. DJ Glaze is a big boy. Linderbaum's a beast, a wrestler. Colt Miller is oversized and athletic at that position. And then I think they can plug and play. I'm going with JPJ. I choose to get behind JPJ. All right? I'm choosing to back JPJ until I'm proven wrong. So there's one more position. One. Left guard. And whoever they put in there, it's going to be between one of 3 guys, and they're going to earn it. That's a pretty good offensive line. It's good. It's not great. Colt Miller's never been a Pro Bowler. How's it going to be great? You got some offensive lines in the league that got Pro Bowlers. I mean, just think of it that way. We're going to know about the Raiders' offensive line in the preseason at Houston. They're going to be joint workouts in Houston, and on those days, it's going to be evident if the Raiders can block. Because those dudes for Houston, oh my God, they are animals. And they're going to be practicing, and it's going to be the preseason, and they're going to want to hit somebody. They're going to be allowed to hit somebody. It's going to be live tackle football in Houston leading into that game. And everybody who's fortunate enough to be there is going to see if the Raiders' offensive line could hold up. That's it. That's the game that everybody should keep. That's the week of practice that everybody should keep an eye on. 702-365-9200. All right, Connor, we have the Summer of Fun keywords. And today, another opportunity to win with our Summer of Fun. Where are we at?
Yeah, so we got a great trip going down this week. This is going to be going on in Southern California. It's our Southern California theme park trip. And you can win it by being the texters over at 702-365-9200. That's going to be our studio text-in line. And today's word of the day, GT, is eagle, just like what you had this past weekend on the golf course. An eagle. So text us right now, 702-365-9200. For your chance to get in to win either a staycation over at the Southern California theme park trip or a $3,000 cash reward. Just be able to text us right now again, 702-365-9200. The word of the day is eagle.
Eagle. Yeah, he mentioned the eagle that I got on Saturday at Red Rock Arroyo when I chipped in from 115 with the wedge and put it in and screamed eagle. Eagle, by myself. I played by myself, but I kept the proper score. I was explaining to someone I shot a 77, and they're like, well, no one was there to see it. And I go, yeah, but I don't cheat. And they were quiet because they know me. They know I don't cheat at golf. I will not play with anybody on a golf course who cheats. I'm the wrong guy. If you go to a golf tournament, everybody's boozing and drinking, different. But if you're playing with a group of friends and you move your ball, you're getting a penalty. You're going to putt, and you're going to have the ball go in the cup. If it's 4 feet short, you're not picking it up. Now, if it's an inch short, you can pick it up. I don't care. I'm going to go to the cart and crack a Modelo. But when I shot my 77, my famed 77 Saturday, every ball was in play. no lost ball, no penalty, no re-tee, no breakfast ball. I putted everything out. It was glorious. And I'm honest, so I didn't feel like I cheated because I don't cheat. If you know anybody who cheats at golf, here's my advice. Here's what I would do. Show up at the golf course with them, warm up, and take them aside on the first tee and say, hey, man, we're good buddies. I like to play golf. I really like to keep score. We don't have to gamble, but please don't move your ball. Don't take mulligans. We're not doing that. We're playing golf today. And if you can't go do that, go play with other guys who like to cheat. Because there's a bunch of guys out there who cheat at golf. It's sickening, man. There's a bunch of guys who go out every weekend and cheat. And they lie about their score, and they don't count the ball. What'd you get? I got a 5. No, you got a 6. You hit one out. It's an out and 1, out and 2. You're hitting 3. You're not hitting 2. How hard is it to keep a real score? I grew up as a swimmer. When you hit the wall at the end, they didn't take a second off because you didn't get your best time. They didn't give you a second. You play by the rules. That World Cup, man, was dirty. Woo, that World Cup. How do you get a yellow card? And then if you covered up your mouth, you got a red card? That was some psycho stuff. Hey, raise your hand and beep your horn if you missed the World Cup. I do. Man, I'd love to come home right now and get in the pool, crack a Modelo, and watch the World Cup. I'd watch anything. You could put Uzbekistan up against Switzerland. I'd watch it right now. I missed the World Cup. And I don't think anybody's going to watch the MLS coming off the World Cup. I could be wrong. Can you imagine going from watching the World Cup in Spain and watching some Timbers game? Or some Real Salt Lake game? Not me, man. I'm watching the Premiership. Vinny Bonsignore just checked in. We'll get him here at the bottom of the hour. We'll go around the league with Vinny B. Well, I like the way that sounds. Around the league with Vinny B. And then we'll tell you about some of the other things we got cranking here this weekend, as it's supposed to be a pretty good weekend weather-wise here in the Valley of Las Vegas. Right now it's 101. So I just got, if you're looking on the chat, I just got a notification to my phone. Extreme heat warning. Just came on my phone. So today we're 103. We're 107 tomorrow. 105 Saturday, 108. Sunday, 108. Here we go. Here it comes. All this means is my wife deserves a cabana as we do our staycation, or we'll be in the pool. We'll be in the pool having a good time here. Vinny Bonsignore, when we come back, and you heard if you want to text in the word Eagle for our summer of fun. We say goodbye to the Bricklayers. They're our streaming partner here on YouTube. Please sign up for free. JT the Brick YT. And we're brought to you by Woodson Bourbon Whiskey. Charles's legacy is set as a football player, but now as a wine guy and a whiskey guy, go to woodsonwhiskey.com.
Welcome back to the JT the Brick Show, brought to you by M Resort Spa and Casino, the official hotel of the Las Vegas Raiders.
And, of course, there's the storyline of Maxx Crosby being back out there. I know some people have wondered if he'd still be on the market. I don't see that. I see him staying in Vegas, helping this team, and being a Raider for life, and we'll see how that plays out.
Wow, Adam Schefter. That was Adam Schefter saying Max a Raider for life. Well, what about all those other NFL insiders like Diana Rossini who said he wouldn't be? Oh, interesting. Wonder how many people got it wrong. When I was having dinner with Rachel and Maxx Crosby and my wife, and everybody was tweeting around the country what Max was doing, and I was sitting across from them from the Commitment to Excellence Awards, and we were just giggling. None of those insiders were there. They weren't at the table with me. They didn't pass the butter or bread. They all thought they knew what Max was going to do. Well, Max was traded. He was traded to Baltimore, pending a physical. Baltimore was aware that Max wasn't going to pass a physical. Are you kidding me? They knew Max had surgery. Then they didn't fly Max in via a private jet. No, you fly everyone in via a private jet if you're at the level of Max and Myles Garrett, or you're at the level of someone big. You don't fly him into D.C. commercial and then drive them in traffic down to Baltimore and leave the wife in the lobby for 4 hours? Who does that? Oh, Baltimore does. So Eric DeCosta is going to get fired because he screwed over Max. He screwed over the Raiders, and he did Max dirty. And on top of that, the most important thing is Lamar Jackson isn't happy because now Lamar Jackson, who doesn't have an agent, wants to do it on his own. He's not happy, and everybody's criticizing Lamar Jackson. And guess who's going to have to deal with that? Eric DeCosta. So the GM who screwed Max over is going to have to now quiet the noise on Lamar Jackson. Good luck with that. And, man, I wish we had Lamar Jackson a couple of years ago. There were rumblings. Remember, Connor? Rumblings that Lamar Jackson would be interested in Las Vegas.
Interesting enough, it's the same thing that happened where he actually had the chance to go to the market. Still no deals in for him to pay the highest money. It was really weird how that all went down.
If you took the money that we in the Raider Nation spent on Jimmy Garoppolo and Davante Adams alone, Jimmy G and Davante did not want to be here. Stop telling me Davante's a Raider. Once a Raider, always a Raider. He quit on the Raiders. Not many people have. Davante did. And all the best to Davante. Great dad, hanging out downtown with Chef Barry, good guy, playing golf over at Shadow Creek. Great guy. Don't tell me how much he loved the Raiders and wanted to be a Raider for life. He did not. Tim Brown wanted to be a Raider. Okay? Tim Brown wanted to be a Raider. Don't tell me Davante Adams wanted to be a Raider. But the amount of money spent on Jimmy G and Gardner Minshew could have went to Lamar Jackson. But Lamar Jackson wasn't going to leave. He was very tough to get a read on because he doesn't have an agent. So very tough. When the back channels with Lamar would have been very difficult to go down that road. 702-365-9200. Here's the tweet. Cranky Yankee losing to the Pirates. Are you kidding me? Fire Boone. Yankees lose today. First game of a doubleheader to the freaking Pirates. Fire Aaron Boone now. Just fire him. As the Red Sox are the hottest team in baseball, they're coming hard. If you take a look at the standings in Major League Baseball, we're getting ready for the trade deadline. It's getting dicey here. In the American League, the Rays have a 2.5-game lead over the Yankees. The Red Sox are 6 back. Red Sox have won 15 in a row. That should be important to the A's fans who won 20 in a row. You want the Red Sox to lose. In the Central, the White Sox are tied with the Guardians. The Twins are 5 out. In the West, the Rangers have a half-game lead over the Mariners. The Astros are 3 back. So those are teams that are not going to sell. They're going to buy. Rangers and Mariners are in the playoffs as of today. In the National League East, the Braves have a 3-game lead over the Phillies. In the Central, the Brewers have a 6-game lead over the Cubs. I was not aware of that. 6 games. 6 games. It's a lot. And out west, the Dodgers have an 11.5-game lead over the Diamondbacks. 13.5 on the Padres. Padres got some good players. They are definitely sellers. I think the Padres are sellers overall. And if they are sellers, Mason Miller, the closer, I think Fernando Tatis, Machado, all the people that you can potentially ask for. I don't think the Padres want to get rid of Tatis, but he's got a monster contract in Machado. But that team isn't catching the Dodgers. San Francisco Giants are 21.5 games out in July. How's that going to do for Buster Posey when he's 30 games out? That has not worked out well for Buster Posey, has it? So San Francisco is one of the greatest ballparks of my life. When I lived up there, I used to love to go out and sit in the outfield by the cable car, have myself a cold beer. Not a San Francisco Giant fan at all, but just watch baseball. Man, I missed those years, man. It was good. You know, I was never a big fan of the Coliseum for the A's. I wasn't because I was there all the time for the Raiders. And the Coliseum was not great for baseball after Mount Davis was built. That San Francisco ballpark, man, was unbelievable. Still is today. Still is today to go have a great time. The only other ballpark I think that's equal to that is Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh's got a gorgeous ballpark. Always a pleasure to be joined by Vinny Bonsignore from the California Post, an outstanding NFL insider. And Vinny, I want to begin with the Rams. You got a lot of sources, Les Snead, Sean McVay. You're around the organization. Let's begin. They're not reading their press clippings, right? Even SportsCenter anchors and the debaters are crowning them Super Bowl champs. How is McVay going to quell the optimism at camp for the Rams?
Well, the last time I talked to Sean, which wasn't too long ago, and Les Snead for that matter, I can't tell you how devastated they still are about that loss to the Seahawks. Both of them. The one at the end of the season that cost them home field advantage throughout the playoffs, and then the one, obviously, in the NFC Championship game. That's one of those losses and sequences that you don't get over too soon or very quickly. And so they don't want to feel like that again. So I don't care. In their eyes, they're like, whatever the press clippings might say, whatever the expectations might say, we don't want to feel like we felt and still continue to feel after blowing that opportunity to potentially win a Super Bowl last year. So I think that's all the motivation that they're going to need, not to get locked into any of those press clippings and focus on closing the deal this time.
What's the latest reporting on Aaron Donald and his wife? A lot of people are following his wife on social media. He showed up for a workout. I'm just going to assume, as a future Hall of Famer, that he's going to want to get in there. And he's in such brilliant shape. I know football shape is different, but if his workouts are crushing current NFL players that can't compete in his gym and his workouts, I got to assume it'd be pretty easy to ramp him up. Is that right?
In some ways, yes. And I'm leaning toward that he does come back, with the one caveat that knowing Aaron and knowing the level that he expects from himself and demands from himself and won't settle for anything less than that version of himself, to get back to being that, and this isn't it's easy to show up on Sundays. That's the easy part. It's the 24/7, 365 days out of the year that he required from himself and demanded from himself to be that type of a player. And the caveat being, does he really want to get that crazy again and have to put that kind of work in again? It's not an effort thing. It's just a mindset. Once you get out of that for a couple of years, it's easy to fall into that kind of a world. And knowing what he knows he needs to do to be Aaron Donald, or even the best version of Aaron Donald right now in 2026, he knows what he's going to have to do. And I'm not sure that he's going to want to put himself back into that world. But I still am of the belief that he will at the end of the day.
Vinny Bonsignore, California Post. You covered Kobe Bryant. I want to make the comparison to Myles Garrett. It's fair. I think that's a great comparison. Myles Garrett is a Kobe Bryant of the NFL, a first ballot Hall of Famer, still breaking records. And Kobe brought a lot of revenue into the Lakers, jersey sales, season tickets, marketing, and all that. What are the Rams looking to do with Myles Garrett? Because he's going to sell a lot of jerseys. There should be a lot of activations around L.A., but there's also a lot of interest in L.A. with so many other sports teams. What do you suspect is going to happen to Myles Garrett as he embraces L.A.?
Yeah, first and foremost, and again, talking to Sean McVay, one thing that he felt like the Rams lacked last year was a defensive closer. That's what Aaron Donald was for them when they did win the Super Bowl. If you remember, he closed out that championship game against the 49ers. He literally closed out the Super Bowl as well with some dynamic defensive plays to stop potential game-winning drives. So that's what he felt, Sean McVay, that they lacked. Well, they just went out and got the ultimate closer in Myles Garrett from a defensive standpoint. So first and foremost, that's what he's going to bring. The Rams feel like he could be the true difference maker, along with Trent McDuffie, who they brought in from the Chiefs, in terms of giving them that vitally needed closer on defense. So that's first and foremost. Everything else that comes with it, new jerseys, jersey sales, merchandise sales. I know that they're going to be rolling out a new rivalry jersey uniform sequence here in the next couple of days or so. I'm pretty sure that Myles Garrett's going to be a big part of that rollout. So keep an eye on that. So yes, he kind of fits everything. He's a class act. He's a dominant player. He's somebody that's still in his prime, and he's somebody that I think they understand how fans are going to embrace him, not just the player on the field, which is going to potentially help them win a Super Bowl, but also the person that he is off the field, the leader that he is, somebody that the city of Los Angeles and Ram fans in general can really embrace.
Vinny, how many times a day are you stopped or on the radio or on social media, or someone who knows you comes up to you and asks about the Mendoza timeline on when he's going to play?
If I had we won't say nickel anymore because we're outdated, but if I had a dollar for every time, I could probably, buy some land in Italy at this point. But it's an interesting question, and it's a valid question. And I'll say this too: there's not a lot of history of recent first pick overall quarterbacks that didn't get on the field pretty darn early in their rookie season. And I would suspect that that's going to be the case one way or another with Fernando, outside of the possibility that if they decide at the end of training camp that he needs just a little bit more time to marinate before putting him out on the field, if they go down the road with Kirk Cousins as their starting quarterback, and the Raiders are winning football games and Kirk Cousins is playing really well, they're going to let that ride out as they should. But short of that, if they're middling about, even with Kirk as their quarterback, at some point they're going to hand it off to Fernando Mendoza. And I would think that in that scenario, Fernando's going to get significant playing time this year. And I think that's really important for a lot of different reasons. It's important for Fernando Mendoza. It's important for the team to get him up to speed, to also understand what they have in Fernando Mendoza, and also what more they need to get around him in order to maximize him as well.
Vinny Bonsignore is our guest. You know, Vinny, what's real interesting to me with the Niners, I know how good they are and what their roster development's like, but I don't have their roster in front of me with their average age. Is their window closing because of the age of Warner and Trent Williams and some of the aging players? Not so much McCaffrey. Purdy's young, but no Ayuk. If we're talking to Niner fans in the Bay Area, did they miss a golden opportunity to get a Super Bowl? It's going to be not impossible, but real hard to do it now?
Well, I think that they were thinking along those lines going into last year. If you remember last year, they made a lot of moves. They didn't re-sign a whole bunch of guys. There was a little bit of a transition, kind of in recognition of, all right, maybe that window's closed. Time to go open up a new window. It might take a little while to get that window open. And lo and behold, they went ahead and won, 11, 12 games. They made the playoffs. They won a playoff game. They did so with not just making the personnel changes that they did and walking away from some players, but also, Nick Bosa barely played last year. Michael Williams, their first-round pick, barely played last year. Fred Warner missed a significant amount of time. The quarterback only played, I think, 9 games last year. He missed a significant amount of games as well. So what ultimately happened last year was that what they learned was, hey, the window's back open, and especially now if they could get their players back healthy this year, the window is wide open. However, what's interesting to me about the 49ers is I think they got better. I thought I liked what they did in the draft. I liked bringing in Mike Evans. I think that's an important piece to their offense. I believe they'll be better just because the health of their players, getting guys like Nick Bosa and eventually George Kittle and Brock Purdy for a full season and Nick Bosa for a full season, et cetera, et cetera. I think they're actually a better team than they were last year. But I don't know that they even made up ground against the Seahawks and certainly the Rams. And in some cases, with the Rams at least, it feels like the 49ers, even though they're a better team, may have fallen a little bit further behind the Rams just because of what the Rams did. So it's an interesting dilemma that they're in. They got better. They are better. The window wasn't closed like they thought it was on the verge of closing last year. But by the same token, what does that mean for them in their division against the world champion Seattle Seahawks and a Rams team that just ran circles around everybody with what they did this offseason?
Wrapping it up with Vinny Bonsignore. Vinny, I think if the Chargers have Slater and Alt at 100% and they don't miss a game, those are two of the best premier offensive linemen in football. But when I look at the Chargers depth chart, I still don't see elite skill position players. I don't see a Jamar Chase and a Justin Jefferson. I know it's hard to get those players. I think you can guard Ladd McConkey. I do. I think some of the other players are developmental players. And those who are fawning over Mike McDaniel, are the Chargers still in the hunt to get another star outside receiver? The years of Keenan Allen are over there. Do you think they have enough for Justin Herbert to make a Super Bowl run?
I'm a little bit dubious about that, to be honest with you. But if you talk to Jim Harbaugh, he feels like he's got three extremely talented wide receivers in Johnston Harris and Ladd McConkey. He feels like, and so does Mike McDaniel, he feels like they've got what they need in that wide receiver room right now. They like their tight end as well. They like the running game. They like the addition of Mike McDaniel. I'm a little bit more on the lines of you. I think they need a little bit more from their perimeter players and their weapons, but based on what they are saying, at least, and maybe this is just them talking themselves into it because there just wasn't, those type of players that they needed available, whether it was in a draft or free agency, that they're kind of talking themselves into, we're going to be okay at that position. But to me, it's a really interesting question because I think they're lacking a little bit in that regard. And the other part of that is, Justin Herbert, Mike McDaniel feels like there's some things that he can bring to the table. Mike McDaniel bring to Justin's table to help maximize him. Some of it is footwork, timing, getting the ball out a little bit quicker, maximizing the strengths of Justin Herbert rather than some of the weaknesses. He's a really good quarterback at certain points. In his dropbacks, he's really good getting the ball out quick. He's really good when he has to extend the play, but it's in between those two sequences, the early and then the late. In that middle part, that's when he's not as good. And so that's what Mike McDaniel feels like he can bring to the table in terms of limiting that middle section and maximizing especially the front end of it. But the bottom line is Justin Herbert has to go out there and do it. We've seen him excel in the regular season. There's no question about that. In that setting, he's one of the better quarterbacks in the NFL. But for whatever reason, it's not translated to the playoffs. All it takes is one good game and a couple of good games, and then you can change the narrative. But if you look at the stats in 3 playoff games, it's bad. There's no other way to put it. Now, you can put it on him, you can put it on the system, you can put it on the offensive line last year. But to me, you're starting to run out of excuses with Justin Herbert in terms of the lack of playoff success. So honestly, for the Chargers to take that next step, it's on the quarterback, Justin Herbert. That's the only way that this is going to work for them, is not just get to the playoffs, but do something in the playoffs. And until Justin Herbert can prove that he can be that kind of a quarterback when it counts in that setting and on that stage, there's always going to be questions.
Vinny, last one. With all of these camps opening, a national question for every fan of every team, and all your years of covering the NFL, what's the one big thing that all teams should want to get out of camp? I'll go first, injury-free, but that's too obvious. Is there something big picture that you think all of these coaches are looking to do as the modern era has evolved with less practices and pads, less time on the field, more time in the meeting room, that you think is more important than ever at the end of July into August?
Yeah, I just think, and we could talk about the Raiders on this. It's protecting your quarterback. It's having a functional offensive line to start the season. And I think if you look at the Raiders, I think they've been behind the 8 ball a little bit from an offensive line standpoint to start seasons. Part of it was tinkering with guys and trying to figure out who the best 5 was, and then getting to the season and realizing, man, because of all that tinkering, we haven't really developed a cohesive 5-man group right now. So I think the Raiders and a lot of other teams want to get it settled on who their offensive line is going to be, what their offensive line is going to look like in terms of the 5 guys, and then getting them as much reps as possible, using those joint practices against other teams to really push that along. So for me, I know everybody is on their own journey. Every team is on their own journey. You got veteran teams, you got young teams, you got teams with quarterbacks, you got teams like the Cardinals and the Jets that are still looking for their quarterback. But I think offensive line play and getting that part of your team up and running and functioning at a high level as early as possible is really imperative these days.
Appreciate you, Vinny. Thanks so much. Always appreciate your time.
All right, JT, have a great show.
You got it. There he is, Vinny Bonsignore from the California Post. Yeah, I thought that was really good what he had to say. We went around the league. Okay, I wasn't going to do 15 minutes on the Raiders. Not. I'm going to go around the league because he's now covering the Rams, the Niners, and the Chargers. And we are all interested in what the Chargers are doing. We're interested in the Rams. They're the best team in football on paper. And when we have a lot more news on the Raiders, you'll find it here on the flagship. Breaking news from Raiders PR 1 minute ago. The Raiders have signed fourth-round pick, 101st overall, Jermon McCoy. He is signed officially by the Raiders. For those who are worried about Fernando's language and his contract, slow your roll. Everything's perfect. Everything's good. Fernando's at the ESPYs. He's at Fanatics Fest. Everything's okay. But McCoy, this is an interesting pick. For the 101st player, they have the potential to have a top 10 player in the draft overall if he stays healthy. That's cool. That's a good investment. When we come back, we'll wrap it up on the other side. Q Myers is coming up with a big show, as always. I'm excited. We were talking in the parking lot, Q and I, about going out to camp and broadcasting some shows. We're buttoning that up. What days shows will be out there, so you get the camp coverage that you deserve. And you're going to get a lot of it here on the flagship, as we're brought to you by Fletcher Azul Tequila.
Welcome back to the JT the Brick Show, brought to you by the De Casta Verde Law Group. If you get injured in an accident, call 702-222-9999.
Gino's under center with Ashton Genty behind him. Tyler Lockett split out wide left. Bowers and Thomas to the right. Gino's going to roll right. His eyes towards the back of the end zone. He dumps it. Genty at the goal line. Touchdown, Raiders. Gino on a 4th and 2 found Ashton Genty right at the goal line. Deuce in the end zone. And with 5:11 to go, the Raiders not done yet. It's 24-9 Cleveland.
How about that? You know, Ashton, we had a caller earlier today. A caller say he doesn't want Ashton to play. Doesn't want Ashton to play basketball because it might make him fumble. I've taken more calls than anybody. Seriously, that's not my legacy, but I don't mind that legacy. No one's talked to more people than me at night, not even close. And we used to have a show called Wacko Night, where I'd only put on wackos. Only the crazy people, like the lunatics. That was a pretty big wacko call. The guy said with a straight face, Genty should stop playing basketball. I thought he was going to say for the right reasons. He could hurt himself. You know, you're playing basketball, you can hurt yourself. And he said, no, by dribbling, it's prone to fumbling. That was something. That guy'd be good on Wacko Night. I'd put him in the Mount Rushmore there. These guys stay in shape year-round. They stay in shape year-round. The biggest trending story today on X is that Ryan Clark disputes ESPN's claim he wasn't forced off the NFL Live set. So it was leaked to a couple of insiders there, but Outkick deserves it. TMZ went back and looked at it and said he mutually agreed to exit after being rattled. But Clark countered on X saying, quote, I asked, should I be done now? The answer was yes. So when they told him in the middle of the show on NFL Live that he was not being retained, he said to the person, quote, this is from TMZ and they're never wrong, should I be done now? And they said, yes. And he left in the middle of a show. Those scoundrels. Someone made that decision at ESPN, and everybody's going to know his or her name. Okay, and any other talent there is walking around like, I got a buddy at ESPN in L.A. and a buddy at ESPN in Bristol. And I know for this is for fact, they're walking around on eggshells. Everybody's morale is dead. Dead. In the hallways of Bristol. The people walking around, the cameramen, women, the production assistants, front desk, everybody is rattled that they did that to Carl Ravitch. Not that they did that to Ryan Clark. Ryan Clark said a lot of out-of-bounds things that put him in a position to be fired. If you get on the radio or a platform every day and you talk about race every day, you're eventually going to make a mistake. You're going to make one. If you're going to talk about race every day and tie it into that, now I'm not saying Ryan Clark talked about race every day, But he did a lot of things that he tied into race that were happening around sports that he brought into Bristol on those shows, and some people just got sick of it. I just thought that he got treated poorly on the way out. When people are let go, you do it with grace and dignity because they have enough problems dealing with losing their job. That wasn't handled perfectly, but nothing's perfect. Thanks for listening, everybody. Thanks again, Connor. Great job today. Bill Williamson and Vinny Bonsignore, they were both good. Really good as always. I'm working on a Raider for tomorrow for our signature series. He's one of the all-time greats, so we'll see with the schedule. If we have that, we'll let you know. No radio tonight, wide open. Looking forward to a good week coming up the rest of the way. Thanks, everybody. Appreciate you listening. Have a great rest of the day. Q Myers on deck.